Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and it's been a while since I've been here. Well, one, I have a new friend. His name's Bowie. He is a border collie and retriever mix. He is a little puppy. That's actually where I've been the last few weeks, is I've been just in a different location in my house, and it's definitely been strange, kind of just getting used to having another person, or I guess, guy, little dog in my house. But with that being said, I haven't been doing too much these last few weeks, mainly because I've just been really busy. Life has been really great and also stressful. There's been just a lot of factors going on in my life that I'm trying to work through right now. We'll get to that here with the book that I actually picked up. But today I just want to be really brief, mainly because I'm in a completely different scenario, like where I'm recording this right now. But also at the same time, I don't have too much to talk about in terms of movies, mainly because I've just been doing other things in my life. I recently went up on a trip to Kansas City and went to a concert to see Abby Holiday, which was really fun. Was able to pick up a few things at Mills Records, which is one of my favorite places to be, and Half Price Books. I actually got some books there. And I also have a few movies to showcase with you as well that I picked up over the last couple of weeks. One came in from a pre-order, and then another one is from 2024, one of my favorite movies of last year that I'm really excited to finally watch the extended cut of. But yeah, I'm gonna just hang out with Bowie here in my arms right now. We'll see how long this lasts, but I got some things to showcase with you. But besides this, going into this next chapter, I suppose, in my film journey, obviously this is like a culmination of 3 weeks off. I haven't been doing this consistently for the last 3 weeks, which is quite a bit. And to make up for that, I'm still thinking about how I want to structure, these next few film journals and talk about the things that I've been watching and the things that I've been picking up. But I would love to know what your thoughts and also what your watch list is and what you've been picking up. What Bowie would love to know. He would love to know what you've been picking up. And he's going to say goodbye for a second so we can jump into the things that I have here. I'm not used to having another thing in my house, another body, I guess. So anyway, I'm going to put him down real quick. And we're going to jump into the things that I picked up for the last few weeks. Okay, so like I said, and you might be hearing squeaks, and you also just might be hearing clattering, just because he's here in the same room as me. I'm just trying to keep an eye on him because he's just still a little puppy. But I did get a few titles here that I want to showcase. One actually is a pre-order that I got from Eureka, which is a Region B release, sadly, but I'm also just really excited to have it because I have enjoyed a lot of this director's work that I have seen from the 1950s, but I didn't really know much about his earlier stuff. So I got Cirque in Germany. And this is a collection from 1934 to 1935. I believe there are 6 films in here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these in German, but I am so stoked to finally have these. A lot of these, maybe like the first time on Blu-ray. So I'm just really excited to finally have this and showcase that. But there is the films themselves. We'll just love the old school art design, but also I'm sure it's going to be a lot of it's in black and white, and some talkies in here as well. But just excited about this. Lots of special features in here as well, just some shorts from him, and also some new essays, and then a couple of interviews with different film historians talking about Douglas Sirk. But as a huge fan of someone who loves the movie like all that heaven allows, I'm just really stoked to kind of see where his foundations came from. So yeah, Cirque in Germany, very excited about that. The next thing I got is a film that was one of my favorites from last year. It was a surprise mainly because I thought this was going to be a little bit better than I expected it to be, but it felt more like a cover of sorts, but at the same time had its own flair to it. And what I'm talking about is Nosferatu from last year. This is probably my 4th favorite Robert Eggers film, but I am a huge fan of Robert Eggers in general. The Witch is one of my favorite films of all time. I'm notoriously the lighthouse keeper, Willem Dafoe, for Halloween for the last few years, because I'm just cheap and I don't want to spend money on new costumes. And also I love The Northman. I love Bjork in there. I love Skarsgård. I think that's just an epic film. Now, this is a really good adaptation of the story Nosferatu that we saw back in the 20s, but also in the 1970s. I know Werner Herzog did a version of this that is this is like a combination of those two with that Robert Eggers flair. And I'm just excited to finally have this on physical disc. And this is the 4K. This has the extended cut, which has 2 versions of the film. And like I said, I haven't seen the extended cut just yet, so I don't really know much in terms of what this looks like, but I'm really, really stoked to jump into it nonetheless. And I love this stuff, and I love Nosferatu, so very excited for that. So those are the only 2 films that I actually picked up for my trip, and also the last few weeks, which has been, like I said, very tumultuous, a lot of things going on. But I actually have a couple of records to showcase. In fact, I haven't really showed you this, but I have a record wall here of some of my favorite records. There's Pink Floyd, Casey Musgraves, Wu-Tang, Portishead, Deaf Heaven. Where's that? Oh, that's the Contortionist. A lot of metal stuff too. But I love genres of all sorts, and so I've been a big music fan for a long, long time in my life. And I got 2 records when I was over at Mills. Of course, the dog moved the camera. So let's talk about the discs that I got. And the first one is Better Lovers, which is a supergroup of sorts of Every Time I Die and Dillinger Escape Plan, at least the main singer of Dillinger Escape Plan, and some of the members of Every Time I Die are in here, and a couple of other people. But this is, if you are a fan of that type of math metalcore of sorts, just a really good time. This is like the debut album from them, so I'm really excited to finally have this on disc. In fact, let's actually open this up. It's the Whirlpool design. This is 1,500 copies are in here, and so it feels nice. I like the way that this feels, and I have a feeling me opening this up is going to make Bowie, my dog, want to chew it. But anyway, here it is right here. Let's look at the Whirlpool design real quick. See what that looks like. Oh, that's pretty. That's really pretty. So you can see the Whirlpool design. But yeah, Better Lovers, one of my new favorite bands, and I'm very, very excited to finally have their debut album. And then the next album I got is actually more akin to Casey Musgraves and maybe Elton John, I would say. And I'm talking about Honey Harper's Star Maker. So this came out a couple years ago, and this was actually one of my favorite records of that year that it came out. I want to say 2021, 2022. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I lucked out and got this on disc, and I just adore this record. So yeah, if you are a fan of like Elton John or Casey Musgraves, more like kind of dream country, if you will, that's kind of what it feels like. This is what Honey Harper sounds like. At least this record does. So Star Maker, give yourself a listen on this one. This is like a delight. If you don't like country music, still check this out, because like I am kind of hit and miss with country. But yeah, Honey Harper is right up there. So very excited to have that. And yeah, those are my vinyls that I picked up for my trip. Now let's talk about some books. I actually got some stuff at Half Price Books, and I also got something in the mail, and I'll talk more about that here in a second. All right, so moving on to books, I actually got a movie book right here that I can showcase. It is a TCM book, and I love these books because they're like coffee table books of sorts. But I got the Summer Movies one right here, and this is actually only $6.99. There was actually a couple of copies here, but this was written, let's see who it was written by. It was John Millay, I guess, and the foreword was by Leonard Maltin, who I am a big fan of. But regardless, there's 30 different films that they talk about that are summer movies, and so it kind of just showcases that. The author just writes about them, and then also just showcases what they look like. So there's Beach Blanket Bingo, which I've never heard of, but then there's other ones. I'm sure Jaws is in here. There's Caddyshack. So this is really fun movies for the summer, just to kind of get yourself jumping. Yeah, Jaws is right here. Dirty Dancing, State Fair, Key Largo, great Humphrey Bogart film. Yeah, excited to have this book. And the next book I have here is actually a horror book, one that I am a huge fan of the show that I watched first, and then I read the book, and I love both. And that is The Terror, and that author is Dan Simmons, and he wrote this book right here, Summer of Night. And this is, I think it's a vampire book, but I don't necessarily know, but it is set in the 1960s in Illinois, where some 12-year-old boys, it's definitely got a Stephen King thing, going on, where there's like, young children and something supernatural happens around them, and they have to like kind of go on this adventure. But it looks really fun. Like I said, I really love Dan Simmons' writing. I also read The Abominable, which I enjoyed quite a bit. It's like kind of a historical nonfiction. So yeah, excited to run that. And the last thing I got at Half Price Books was a big box set that was only $20. And these are a lot of adaptations. Well, I've watched the adaptations, and I've also seen various different ways of these stories come about, but I never owned the books, and nor have I read them. And I'm talking about this Jules Verne collection right here, which is really, really exciting. I just love, I was kind of just caught off guard with the colors, but there are, I think, 7 books here. There's an Arctic Mystery. It has The Mysterious Island, which I have on film, Around the World in 80 Days, which has been an adaptation for a lot of adaptations. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, another great adaptation. From Earth to the Moon and Around the Moon. Then we have Journey to the Center of the Earth, one of the classics. And then we have 5 Weeks in a Balloon. So 3 of these, I would say, Journey to the Center of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues, and Around the World in 80 Days, are like super famous. And a lot of these other ones are too, like Mysterious Island and 5 Weeks in a Balloon. But just excited about this because these are written like in the 1800s, and a lot of these stories kind of permeated in, like, you think of things like Roald Dahl, or you think of stuff like Willy Wonka, or you think of the Czech New Wave, you think of Carol Zeman's work. There's just a lot of really cool kind of just imaginatory things going on in these ideas of these books and these stories that Jules Verne wrote down. So I'm so ready to read these books and just have myself a good summer, honestly, with these things. Just kind of get lost in adventure. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit more personal. So that last book that I want to talk about is one that I picked up, and honestly, self-help books, they're kind of hit or miss, right? I feel like some self-help books are a little preachy, or at least maybe are, you know, they're kind of conny, if that makes sense. Like there's a con artist type of feel to it. But something like this, I'm actually really stoked to read, because I've had a lot of really crazy life events happen lately, and I'm still processing a lot of it. So this is actually a book I think that will help quite a bit, and that is the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins. And I am familiar with Mel Robbins. I haven't really delved too deep into it. I know she has a podcast. I know she's written a lot of books, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 book, which is like a countdown, like just to recenter yourself. But this is the Let Them Theory, which more or less lets them, like, the story is just, if you're struggling to achieve your goals and feel a little happier, the problem isn't you. The problem is the power you give to other people. So more or less, it's just redefining yourself within these parameters of relationships, your interactions. If you get anxious or upset, things along those lines. Like it's one of those things that like just will realign you to your own priorities, but also caring about the people in your life. And most importantly, yourself, of course, which is first the most important thing to do. So I'm very excited about this. I'm actually a couple chapters in right now. I'm going to read after this probably. And yeah, but I've been dealing with a lot lately, and I think this book is going to help quite a bit. Obviously, movies are going to help. Music's going to help. There's a lot of ways I can escape reading. And yeah, just in general, these next few weeks, I'm going to recenter and think about how I'm going to do the film journey, because like I said, this is a different look to it. I also have my dog here to take care of, and I'm not in my film room much, so that's where I am going to change some things up here. So that being said, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my pickups. Sorry if it's a cop-out for the last few weeks. It's just a lot has happened over the last few weeks, and so I just wanted to kind of make it light and also just kind of showcase some of the things that I've been going and picking up with. And yeah, I would love to know in the comment section down below what you've been getting, and I will see you all soon. I'm not jonesing around.